There are moments in history when the survival of an entire kingdom depended, not on swords, not on treaties, but on the durability of the humble planks that held its ships together. Chroniclers from the medieval North Sea, the Venetian Republic, and the Levant all recorded something unusual about certain fleets. Their ships lasted longer, resisted rot better, and held structural integrity through storms that shattered rival vessels. These weren't myths or heroic exaggerations. Archaeologists pulling timbers from centuries-old wrecks still find coatings that have survived half a millennium of salt, sand and burial. What those shipwrights protected, and how they protected it, was so effective that it practically gave these fleets a strategic advantage. If you've ever wondered how wooden warships remained battle-ready in damp shipyards, muddy harbours, or brackish river basins, this is the part of naval history that rarely makes it into documentaries. Today, we're breaking open the actual preservation protocol that kept medieval fleets alive, one that can still be used today to protect any wooden structure exposed to moisture, bacteria, or sun. The foundation of medieval preservation began long before shipbuilding ever started. The greatest mistake modern builders make is assuming preservation begins after the ship or structure is built. Medieval shipwrights knew better. Their preservation method started with the tree itself. Felling was performed during winter dormancy, when sap levels were lowest. Lower sap content meant less internal moisture and fewer nutrients for fungi. After felling, logs were stored upright so excess moisture could drain naturally. This stage alone reduced rot for years to come. A modern survivalist or homesteader can apply this principle by selecting dry-season timber for any major outdoor project. Even if you're working with lumber purchased from a yard, you can still implement the medieval practice by allowing boards to stand vertically in a shaded, ventilated space for several days. This small adjustment prevents premature decay by removing hidden moisture that factory kilns sometimes fail to eliminate. The next step revolves around strategic seasoning and the controlled removal of internal moisture. What medieval shipbuilders understood intuitively is that wood weakness almost always starts inside the fibres, not outside. Storing timber beneath open-air sheds, supported on beams to allow airflow on all sides, prevented the trapped humidity that leads to internal rot. This process could last weeks, months, and sometimes an entire season. That patience was not optional. It was strategic. You can replicate this level of care today by stacking lumber with spaces between each board, never allowing surfaces to touch. Leave this stack in a breezy, shaded area. After even 1 week, the timber loses enough internal moisture to significantly increase its lifespan. If you're planning to build raised beds, outdoor storage, a dock, or any structure exposed to rain, this single step performs better than many modern sealants applied too late in the process. The heart of the medieval method relied on oil saturation that replaced water inside the grain. This is where Operation Preserve Fleet truly earned its reputation. Once timber was seasoned, shipwrights heated natural oils, flax, pine, or even animal fat mixtures, until they thinned enough to seep deep into the wood. They applied these warm oils repeatedly, allowing each layer to penetrate and cure before adding the next. This changed the wood's chemistry from the inside out. Instead of water sitting in microscopic pockets, the wood now held hydrophobic oils that repelled moisture and blocked fungal growth. For a modern application, you want to gently warm raw linseed oil in a double boiler until it becomes, well, a bit more fluid. Then apply it liberally to the wood using slow, even strokes. Let it absorb, and after the first coat cures, just repeat the process a second time. This doesn't just coat the surface, it transforms the wood's internal structure, just as it did for medieval naval fleets. The protective armour was completed with a resin barrier that sealed the exterior. Shipwrights of the Mediterranean and Baltic regions didn't stop with oil, you know. They added a resin layer made from boiled pine pitch, spruce resin or tar blended with charcoal. When brushed onto oiled wood, the resin formed a shell that hardened into a moisture-resistant armour. This barrier prevented saltwater intrusion, insect damage, and bacterial colonization. Many surviving medieval timbers still show this dark, hardened coating fused to the surface. Today, pine tar or natural naval pitch can be warmed and applied in the same way. Once brushed on, it cools into a protective layer capable of surviving rain and sun for years without breaking down. The final stage relied on slow curing that locked the entire system into durability. Medieval builders ended the process with a curing phase that modern impatience often overlooks. Treated wood was stored in open-air sheds, shaded from direct sunlight but exposed to wind. This slow cure allowed the oils to polymerize and the resins to harden into a stable shell. Rushing this stage weakened the barrier, so shipwrights protected it as carefully as they protected the ship itself. For modern preservation, you'll want to place the treated wood beneath a covered porch, a shed roof, or even a tarpaulin roof. Just be sure it's designed to allow airflow. Then simply leave it there for a week or more. After curing, you'll notice the surface feels firmer, denser, and, well, far more resistant to environmental stress. So, if you wanted to protect a wooden boat, a cabin wall, a shed door, or even wooden gardening structures, you would season the timber warm and saturate it with oil-apply pine tar as an external barrier, and then allow the final coat to cure slowly. This multi-part method, you see, doesn't rely on modern chemicals. Instead, it relies on understanding the behaviour of the material itself, the very same wisdom that allowed medieval fleets to survive storms, long voyages, and, well, even wartime conditions. If this deep dive into forgotten naval preservation techniques gave you a new appreciation for historical craftsmanship, make sure you subscribe to Thermal Vault and share this guide with others who value the knowledge that once kept entire kingdoms afloat.